Ever wonder why we repeat the same relationship patterns over and over again? Object relations theory suggests that our relationship patterns depend on three things. First, how we see ourselves: lovable, competent, worthless, or powerless. Second, how we see others. Just as we have a fundamental sense of ourselves, we carry a rubric of how others are, such as trustworthy, reliable, dangerous, or manipulative. The third is the interface between the two, where we may pull others to see us in a way we want to be seen and treat us we want to be treated. We tend to be most comfortable in relationships resembling the ones we were raised in, even when they may be toxic. Object relations theory further states that we acquire our view of ourselves and others from birth. Before we infants can recognize ourselves in a mirror, we put together a picture of ourselves through what we experience in our caregivers' interaction with us. For instance, if our parents consistently handle us gently, patiently, and lovingly, we begin to internalize ourselves as worthy of love and our caregiver as caring and trustworthy. However, if our caregivers are easily overwhelmed or abusive, we internalize that we are unlovable and our caregiver as unreliable or violent. In object relations theory literature, these internalized aspects of ourselves and our caregivers are called objects. The theory seeks to explain how the relationship between these objects or internalized representations of people play out in the real world. Lastly, these internalized templates of ourselves and others constructed in early life do not stay strictly demarcated. Thus, in addition to the role of helpless and unlovable child, a child growing up in an abusive household may later take on the role of violent father. To understand this theory better, let's look at a specific example. Bobby grew up in a chaotic environment. His dad was an alcoholic who beat his mom whenever he got drunk. In his early years, whenever infant Bobby looked into his mom's eyes, he saw someone overwhelmed and anxious. Whenever Bobby cried, his mom would get more frazzled and leave him alone. Since birth, Bobby began to internalize that he was unlovable and that his caregiver would abandon him if he expressed his needs. He also began to believe that others were fragile like his mom or dangerous, rageful like his dad. When Bobby got a bit older, he quickly learned to read subtle emotional signs of his father and be compliant and invisible whenever his father was drunk to protect himself. Bobby also learned to calm his mom and tend to her wounds. With practice over time in a chaotic environment, Bobby became skilled at reading emotional cues for potential conflict. He was quick to take on the role of compliant peacemaker and caregiver in relationships. When Bobby grew up, he frequently found himself getting into relationships with angry or demanding partners where he found himself in the casted roles that he grew up with. He longed for joys of a low-conflict relationship, but quickly became bored as there was no chaos for him to mediate. He also desires more affection and caring from his partner, but feels anxious or overwhelmed whenever someone attempts to care for him. At an unconscious level, Bobby would prefer to repeat the same relationship patterns that he grew up with, further reinforcing his internalized view of self as unlovable peacemaker and a view of others as either fragile or dangerous. Later, Bobby got married and had a child of his own. He frequently fought with his partner and hit his child, repeating the pattern of relationship that he experienced as a child. The only difference this time is that the roles were reversed. The object relations theory helps explain why Bobby, a child victim of violence, frequently becomes abusive towards his children. In summary, the theory suggests that all of us tend to gravitate to the familiar, even when the familiar is unhealthy or destructive. We are drawn to the type of environment and relationships that we are raised with. In the words of the child psychiatrist, Bruce Perry, we prefer the certainty of misery to the misery of uncertainty. To fix Bobby's unhealthy pattern of relationships, he will have to go back in time to dissect and dismantle his template for relationships and learn to be comfortable in the types of relationships he truly desires. This can be done slowly and painstakingly in a long-term psychodynamic therapy. Thank you for watching the video. If you like this video, please click on the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends.